Okay, we're now live. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Laura Mugeha. I am the Community Programs Director at African Women in Tech. And this is part of a series called the How To series, where we have been having a number of sessions with different speakers from around the world who've been sharing with us either about platforms that they have built or their work in general or an aspect in the tech space. So we started this last year. We had a number of sessions. So if you are on Twitter, you would see, if you go to our media section, you'd see a number of sessions that we did last year. Also, if you are on YouTube, there are a couple of sessions that you can watch after this one on our YouTube channel. And similarly to Facebook, that's the same thing. So for the first session in 2021, we are going to hear from Lisa Videra, who's going to share with us about EdTech in Angola. So if you have any questions, feel free to share with us on the comment section, and then after the session, Lisa will be able to answer them and share more information about the same. So without taking much more time, Lisa, you can take it away.
Hey, hello everyone. Thank you, Laura, for this introduction. First of all, I must thank Annie Akpe for this opportunity and invitation to be part of Women in Tech. And I would really be proud of contributing with whatever I can so that women in tech can grow, not just here in Angola, but all Africa. I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and also see the opportunity for creating any type of partnerships that can either help me expand the EdTech from Angola to the Portuguese-speaking countries, because this is one of the things we want to do, or even bring any business that might be worth coming to Angola, because I think Africa, we need to be self-sufficient. If we can have a better trade of products and services, I believe that we won't depend so much on anything that is outside of our continent. So to start with, I'm gonna tell a bit about my story, and then I want to show you guys my e-learning platform. So I was born in Angola in 1985, yeah. And I have lived almost all my life here until I was 17 years old, which I then went to study in Portugal for 1 year to learn, start to learn English and finish my high school. After that, I went to study to England, UK. I was in Manchester for 4 years. I graduated as a chemical engineer, and then I came back to Angola to work for a year. But after that, I managed to get a scholarship and went back to UK to do my master's degree in engineering management, and I specialized in logistics. So after I finished all the studies and made my family really proud, because that was one of the main goals that I had, I returned to Angola, and I have negotiated with my parents a period of time of not applying for a job and actually figuring out what I really wanted to do with my life. That's when I decided to open a kite surfing school. So this is an extreme water sport that I am deeply in love with, and I have been practicing since 2004. I learned these sports in Portugal. I have seen it in Angola, but I only managed to get some lessons done in Portugal. And since then, I could not let go of this addiction, but it's a good addiction, a healthy addiction. And because of that, I decided to sort of share my passion through knowledge and start teaching this extreme sport in Angola. So after my master's, I decided to dedicate at least 2 years just teaching kite surfing and trying to implement this sport in the how do you say, the Federation of Water Sports, because up to that moment in Angola there was no recognition of these sports, and I wanted to create athletes. So I have dedicated a lot of time on this project, which was really good because from this opportunity that I had to share my passion and my knowledge, that's how I found out what I really, really wanted to do for the rest of my life, which was teaching and sharing knowledge. So when I find myself teaching other areas of my life, like time management and productivity skills, I decided not just to teach in terms of room classes in old-fashioned way, but also go online. And when I started searching for platforms that allow young African students to get access to my platform, I came into a conclusion that most international platforms of e-learning require a visa card. And at least in Angola, less than 5% of the population actually have access to a visa card. So that was a huge problem for me because my niche or my potential students were young people that did not have access to, or do not have up-to-date access to a visa card. That's when the idea of creating an e-learning platform came from. I said, no, wait, if, what's the point of putting a online course if the main people that I want to reach cannot have it? That's when I actually started figuring out how and make my way to build a platform. Because at the time I had no money, and I started to sort of ask for how do you say, invoices, but in terms of getting the prospect of how much would cost me the platform, and I found that would be quite expensive to have a minimum viable product. I decided to create a podcast, because podcasts we can use SoundCloud and all these platforms for free and actually get the information out there, but in a way of a podcast. So I first created a podcast, which I put it in my blog. By the way, guys, for those who are interested in seeing some of my wild adventures of kite surfing, because I have actually traveled a lot and competed in some places to represent Angola, especially South Africa. I have some videos in my blog, lisavidera.com, and that's where I put my podcast. So initially I started the e-learning platform called Zoji Academy. I started in my blog as a podcast. Once I figured out what I needed and how much money I required to spend to start a minimum viable product to create the platform, that's when then, after a year, I moved to create the e-learning platform. So this idea came out in 2016. That's when I decided, okay, I want to create an e-learning platform for Angola so that teachers and trainers like me can have an option to have their content locally and actually efficiently reach the people they desire, which is the Angolan citizens. So 2016, I created a podcast, and only 2 years after, in 2018, that's when I managed to put my e-learning platform called Academia and Zoji Online, which I will share it now. Let me just, okay. Let me just show you really quick. I hope you guys can see it. Laura, if you can confirm that everyone can see the screen, that would be great. So this is my Learning Academy platform, which in Portuguese we say Academia and Zoji, but in English we should swap the words. So it's Zoji Academy. For those who speak Swahili, they will probably notice that this word Zoji, if we swap the Z and the J, it's the same word in Swahili for dreams. This word I pick it up from a local dialect in Angola called Kimbundu. In Kimbundu, Nzoji also means dreams. And I found out this when I was participating in Seed Stars, and I actually, was speaking with someone who spoke Swahili and said, "Did you know that in Swahili we have the same meaning?" That was really, really fun. So going back to the platform, this is a platform. Most of the language that you see, it's in Portuguese, which is the main language that we speak in Angola, besides the dialects. And basically, just to show you guys, our main objective is to be a blend between Coursera and Udemy platforms. We have long-term courses and short-term courses. What we do, we partnership with a lot of entities in Angola, Brazil, and now we are starting to close partnership from US, like Star University, to bring the content in terms of degrees, master degrees, and short courses to Angola. One of our main areas of work, we translate from English to Portuguese so that we can allow people to have access to the content in our local language. So for those who already experience an e-learning platform, this is basically the same. We are not trying to reinvent the wheel, but adapt it for Africa. So let me go back. Okay. So this is the platform I created, Zoji Academy, which was one of the solutions for the major problems that we have in Angola, especially when, as you might be aware of, especially when Angola only left a civil war in 2002, and we only got independence in 1975. So we are actually a country, although we have a lot of oil and we are famous for sending a lot of oil, barrels of oil and so on, we are still a country that in terms of education, we are a baby. We are doing baby steps. Up to this date, we don't have one single university in Angola that has the option for learning in terms of e-learning, long distance. We still have universities that are very, very traditional, and they are still trying to fight to embrace the new digital era. The good thing is that the pandemic made them wake up. It was like a call to the urgent need to have options when we have situations like the pandemic. And this has allowed me to start closing partnership with local universities to help them digitalize all the courses that they have. This is, of course, a long-term mission, because our mission is to revolutionize education in Angola and then expand to the Portuguese speaking countries like Mozambique, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, and Portuguese-speaking countries within Africa. Okay, we don't want to leave Africa. And São Tomé and Príncipe. This is the other one we want to expand. So what we have now done since 2018 is we have created 10 short courses so that people can learn like Excel, Word, and all these soft skills that normally companies are looking. We are now creating content and translating it to Portuguese so that we can have them available in our platform. And what we want is to grow, is to help locally, but also bring courses, international courses, and worldwide quality courses that do not exist in Angola. For example, a young Angolan that wants to learn how to do cloud computing, there is not one single university or institution or even a private training academy that teaches this type of skills. Nigeria is a huge example. Nigeria is now the leading country that has more IT technicians in Africa that provide services internationally. So I'm trying to see Angola also follow up these trends, because I believe that's the future. and we need to prepare people for this new world that is coming in an emerging speed. So there is a strong need in terms of the country development to make sure that the education and also health, the main pillars of the nation, are strong to actually create a impact in the population. So I created the academy in 2016. Only in 2018 I had the platform, and since 2018 I can say that it's been like a roller coaster, because as a startup, and most of women, as you know, it's not easy, and as long as I would say that as long as we have the why am I doing what I'm doing really defined, that's the only and main reason that I didn't give up, because we had really hard time to, especially financially, to keep the company running and have everything working. When the pandemic hit, it was, as you all know, it was like a surprise with no actual plan on how to readjust to this reality we are facing. But the good thing is that I try to always look in the right side of things, and I thought that that was the great opportunity to go look even further for investment, and try to spread the word. And for example, I must share that I met Annie Akbek in a web summit online virtually, and that was a unique opportunity for me to do networking. That's how we actually found each other. Annie was part of a roundtable, and the way that people share the experience they had, and the way that they are seeing now the world, made me realize that yes, this is the best opportunity for me, not to focus on the bad things but focus on the good thing. And that was great, because I must share with you guys that I am now closing how do you say, a deal with a international investor. He's actually from America, which will help me implement the project. So for those women who are studying and are still in the fight to make their business stable or sustainable and make it work, please don't give up. Always try to find, in the difficult moments, always trying to find a bright side of things. It's hard, but we can find it. Make it work. Always ask for help. That's the key. We need to be humble, and as women, we need to lower our mask or our differences, and ask for other women's help. I know sometimes it might not be easy, but this is the moment that we definitely need to unite to make it work. So, in terms of being in a situation like an entrepreneur and not knowing what to do, I would normally try my best to do as much networking as possible, and of course, talking, and make sure that I can find someone that would understand me and then guide me on how to move on, especially mentorship, which is not easy to have mentors with the experience in the area of where you work. I say this because in Angola, we, as a startup, we are actually very new in this area, because there's not many startups in Angola. Even the legislation, guys, let me share with you, in Angola, only in March 2020, our government created a law that allow or made e-learning legal. Before that, there was no legislation, no laws. That's why most of the universities didn't even bother to create or prepare for the conditions to have e-learning as an option. So in Africa, as it's for things to happen, especially in terms of governmental level, it takes a lot. So we entrepreneurs, we end up pushing them to actually, speed up things. The best example is Uber. When Uber entered Europe, the European Union had to update their legislation in the area of the business where Uber was working. So it's like being an entrepreneur. It's like we are swimming against the wave or the tide, and we need to keep paddling until the tide changes. I speak it as a surfer because I also surf, and I know how hard it is to be in the sea, paddle for an hour to only get maybe 5 waves. So it's about that persistency, believing in yourself, making sure you have the reasons, the why am I doing what I'm doing, and also have in mind that the universe is working in our favor, even though sometimes a lot of things happen. For example, for the past month, I had a lot of problems, even for energy outrage that burned some computers, to the tiniest crazy thing that normally happens in Africa, which is amazing. I don't know if it's Africa is unique. I love. Just let me be sure that you understand. I love Africa. That's why I don't want to leave Africa. I want to be here in Angola and help rebuild our nation the best way I can. But it's unique that in Africa everything is harder. But we are tough women, and I believe we can go through any obstacles that we have. So in my case, I started little and I managed to work it out step by step. I participated in a lot of startup programs. I went to ask for mentorship. I tried to get business angels and I couldn't for the first 2 years. I had to readjust my business plan to start offering a new service that it was not planned because one of my clients asked so. For example, I will share a bit the presentation of our company, which I have created a company called LV Digital. Can you guys see the presentation? Oh, that's great.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is LV Digital, my company, which we specialize in products and services for e-learning. And one of the things that I was not creating before and I started creating was, how do you say, video classes for platforms that already exist. So what happens is I have created a studio of video and audio, and I decided to create content locally so that I can feed my platform. But what happened is I got a client that he said, no, I already have my own platform for a couple of years, but I don't have personalized local content to feed my platform, which this I managed to find out just having a lot of meetings with potential clients and constantly asking them, what do you guys need in this area of e-learning and training your employees? What do you guys really need? And that's when I found out that what they really need, and I had to readjust my business plan to offer an extra service. Actually, it was this service that helped me survive for this past year because, as you know, the capability of purchase in terms of money that regular people, like the overall people, have gone down a lot. And of course, we had a fall in sales. But for big companies, this was a request that kept coming. Although there was a few adjustments on the quantity, but thank God I managed to keep providing this service, and we started to do that. So basically, this is a description of who we are in terms of an Angolan company specialized in content production, translation for e-learning platforms, what I mentioned, and distribution of our content via our e-learning platform. We are now a team of 10. We are all teams of members are from Angola. Oops, sorry. So what we aim to do is to help African access and afford tertiary education. Because, we believe that in Africa we have a lot of talent, a lot of talent. I have no question about it, independently of the country. But we don't have equal opportunities distributed. We don't. People want to have the chance to get a good degree, but they either can afford it or they don't have the means to access in terms of internet or equipment, mobile phone, computer, tablet, you name it. So our vision is mainly to provide e-learning platform up to 100 million Africans. I know this number might be really small for Africa because up to 2030 we will be 1 billion something, right, according to UN statistics. But this is our goal, which we believe we can reach it within 5 years. In Angola, for example, we are a very, very small country in terms of population. We are only 32 million, only 32 million, because I know that most of African countries, they're bigger than us. But unfortunately, due to war and all the circumstances, we are still a small country in terms of population. So the mission that we want to focus on is the capital development, human capital development, especially through education. This is our goal. Our main values are summed up here, are the 40s, which you guys already know: truth, trust, transparency, and teamwork. In terms of words, this is really beautiful, but in terms of practice, we try hard to implement, especially the methodology and process, the way we work here. As I was summarizing up before, we have the e-learning platform, the Nzoji Academy, and we do content production in our studios, specifically local content from teachers, institutions, universities, and when we do personalized content production for companies that have already learning. The content translation, we are mainly focused on Portuguese from at this moment from English to Portuguese, but we will also soon start translating content to local dialects. In Angola, we have more than 18 different local dialects. Um, Unfortunately, I don't know why, but Swahili is not within our list of local languages spoken. We have some language that progress from Swahili, but not specifically Swahili. But we also want to embrace the Swahili content translation, specifically to help expand to the African, sub-Saharan Africa, after we have also managed to be in the Portuguese-speaking countries. So in terms of e-learning platform, this is our 5 summary functions that we have in the platform, which we try to use it as updated and efficient as international platforms, especially in terms of high tech, in terms of tracking reports, the virtual classes, interactive and collaborative dash. For example, we can do classes as we do it in Zoom in terms of all functions of Zoom platform. The content production, of course, we use what it's standard in terms of quality equipment and technology, and we always want to produce content that it's not boring. It's lively. It's not someone speaking the whole class from the beginning to end, but it's a content that keeps us awake and engaged, interested to actually consume it from beginning to end. We have recorded content, but we also do live content for the students. So this is just a summary of the translation features that we have in terms of content translation. we want to embrace the new technologies in terms of AI and use cloud platform to speed up the content translation and be as more perfect as possible. Just like we see it on YouTube that now any video can come in different subtitles translated. Our translation is mainly in subtitles, and some of them we actually do in audio translation. We recorded in our audio studio. So just to sum up, this is a revision of the reality of Angola. We are neighbors of Congo, so we share the second widest river in the world, and we have one of the biggest natural reserve, Okavango, that we share with Zambia, with Namibia, Zimbabwe in the south, in this area of Angola. This is a summary of key figures in terms of internet users. We are barely starting in terms of internet users, so it's we are doing baby steps. We are constantly doing a study of how our education is evolving. So this is just a summary of what it is. And here I can show you guys what we want to do in terms of expansion strategy. Of course, we are still focused on Angola, but then we want to move on to the Portuguese-speaking countries in Africa, and then try to spread our knowledge to SADC. I wish I could conquer Africa, but as you know, our lifetime is short, so we need to keep focus on what we really want to do and make sure that we have an impact, so that we can then leave a legacy and fulfill our mission. So I would jump really forward just to show us our team, some of our team members, which are working hard. Thank God they believe on the dream, the overall idea, because working in education, especially in Angola, it's really hard. But I believe we can, make a difference, and I believe in this man as an example of what is possible to do with education to change the world. So I think I'm gonna stop here because I don't want to be very detailed and massive. I think I could maybe answer to some questions and share some stories if you guys want about my kitesurfing passion. Here.
Okay, so thank you so much, Lisa. That was really interesting. I'm just checking. I can see at the moment we do not have any questions, but I think it's because everything is so clear. But personally, I had one question, and I was just wondering, what are some of the challenges that you have experienced, especially with Angola? Speaking a different language, or the main language in the country, it not being English or French. I think those are two main in the continent. So are there any challenges that you've faced in terms of tying education and even the EdTech space to the global space?
So your question was, what are the challenges that I face because of my language? It's not it's not. I wouldn't say it's a disadvantage. It's actually a way for me to challenge myself to speak English, as fluent. But in terms of language, one of the things that I'm very, very grateful was the opportunity to study abroad, and actually I had to learn English in order to take my degree, and then I went back to do my master's. So for me, I gained this advantage in terms of language, being able to speak English, but compared to local Angolans. But I believe that English is now a must, independently of my country speaking it or not. We are living in a global world now. The network is becoming global. The business are becoming global. And as Africans, we need to think not just in Africa. In my case, I'm focused on Africa because I want to prepare the future generations to serve Africa and grow to a point that we are self-sufficient and sustainable to then serve the world. But one thing is for sure, there's no point in serving the world when I can't even serve my fellow Africans. So that's why I decided to embrace education as, my weapon to go fight for what is right for us Africans. And I'm a mother and I have 2 kids. I have girls, twins. And my dream is that one day my girls can choose not to leave Angola, to have a proper and qualified, world recognized degree or skill. I wish that they can say, no, I want to stay at home and learn, any skills that is available worldwide and get qualification that allows her to get a job elsewhere, wherever she wants to live in the world. So this is what I imagine is for my kids to use my platform or any platform in the world to learn what they really want and prosper in life, get a job or manage to be an entrepreneur like me, open her um, business and be successful. So for me, English is a must. I think if I were president in Angola, I would create a law that made everybody learn English, as an obligation. So because that's the language of the world. That's the language that even in China, without speaking any Mandarin or Chinese, I can go and do business. So for me, I think it was a privilege, and I want to serve as an example for all the Angolan and women and young people to say, no, guys, if I made it, you can make it. Yes, it was not easy. When I arrived in UK and I enter a bus, I couldn't even say I want to go to the city center. The guy would look at me, I would just pay, and then I pointed on the map where I wanted to go. Well, but that was a start. But I still managed to do a degree. Of course, the first year I arrived in UK, I had to do the foundational year. I had to do English, intensive English classes, but the environment had shaped my mind that there is no turning back and there is no option. Either I learn to speak English, or I'm done. And for my parents, it was hard to keep me there because when I went to do my degree, I had no scholarship. Just when I went to do the master's, that I managed to get a scholarship. So it was expensive to be there, and I did not want to disappoint them. By the way, I chose to do chemical engineer because I didn't know it in our culture. To do a good degree, you are either a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or you would take international relationships to become an ambassador. So when I went to UK, I had only 4 areas of option. And then I thought, well, I'm good in maths and chemistry. So I went to engineer. I almost did electrical engineer because my brother did it, but then I said, this is not for me. So I went to chemical engineer. The first year, it was so hard that I wanted to give up, but I did not have the courage to tell my parents that I wanted to give up because my head couldn't handle all those formulas. The level of requirement to actually pass the module was so high, and this is amazing. My class was a huge class. It was like we were 96 students in those huge atrium, the University of Manchester. At the time I got in the university, in chemical engineering, my university was sitting in the 4th place. First was Oxford, Cambridge, and the third one, I think it was Birmingham University, I'm not sure. The fourth one was mine. And more than 50% of my class, they were foreign. They were Asian, Africans, we were like at least 7 to 10 maximum from all over Africa. There were a lot of people from also, well, Asia, there was a lot. From the north of Africa, yes, like Saudi Arabia and Egypt. There was a lot of people. And I found myself in a class that the level of preparedness were higher than me. And I started to see that I had, because of the bad uh, education in Angola in terms of qualification, I had a lot of flaws. I couldn't study on my own. I had to study always in group. I had to request my colleagues, Asian colleagues, to be part of the group to study with them because was not capable from the first year. I recognized and I was humble enough to admit it. I'm not capable to do this by my own. I need help. So I joined the best in class and I started to study with them. We had study groups every week. I would go to their houses to study so that I could do the work, understand, ask them to explain to me, and hand it in before the deadline. The teachers that we had in our university, which were most of them professors, they wouldn't they don't take questions at the end of class. You know, they didn't have time for that. Their main time was to either give a class or do research because research was their main goal to bring money to university. So each time I had a question, I had to request to meet one of these, how do you say, assistants. He needs to create time to then have time to receive me in the office and take my questions and clarify whatever doubts I had. So it was hard. It was a huge challenge for me, especially with the language difference. But you know what? You know, I took the challenge and I figured out how to make it happen, and I did it. It was really hard, really hard. I think it was one of the hardest things I have done in life because in the final year, I even ended up losing weight because of the number of hours I put studying. I got extremely skinny. I wasn't sleeping. After I finished the course, I had like 3 months to recover from a sort of insomnia because I was at the time like consuming a lot of Red Bull and when you are a student and we don't have a proper plan and time and strategy to work, you end up overloading your system. And I got out of balance in my health. But then, I managed to recover. Once I finished my degree and had the diploma, I said to my parents, here's the diploma. This is more important to you guys than to me. Now let me go live my life and figure out what I really, really want. That's when I devoted myself to kite surfing for 2 years, which got my mom really worried. She was like, you only want to do this thing in the water? When are you supposed to work? Well, after that, I forgot to tell this small bit. I decided not to go work for oil companies, although I had like huge job offers to go work for Total, Eni, even the Angolan oil company, Sonangol. But I said, no, actually, I don't see myself being 28 days offshore, working shifts of 12 hours to earn some money that when I come back to land, I know that I want to spend more time with my family than just, grab the money and go travel around the world. And in terms of the long term, I didn't see, the impact that I will cause because I now see in the long term, what I'm working now, how am I going to transform this world, before I leave it for good. So this was one of the main motives why I just said no. I don't want to just work for money, but I want to work for a cause and of course earn money to pay my own bills because I'm an independent woman. I don't want my bills to be paid. I can pay my own bills, but I also accept gifts. But I like to pay my own, bills. And that's when I decided to never work in the chemistry oral industry. I never work in those areas. I managed to make myself, go around. Although I finished my master's degree in 2009, but I have worked in other areas. I have even worked in a TV company as financial administrative. I was a project assistant in a company of real estate. I went, working in other areas, get experience, trying to figure out what I really want until one day I just decided to do this. So here I am since 2016. And after 4 years, I can say we are making great progress. We are planning in 2021 to start building hubs, which we will call Zoji hubs. It's like we will build offices to allow young people to come and do their courses, even if they don't have a computer. They will find computers with internet, high internet speeds, an environment of students and entrepreneurs, so that we can sustain this vein of constant learning and the growth of a new era of young people that are in the digital area and can learn anything from Massachusetts, Oxford, to a Singapore university, from even Brazil. We want to be the doorway for them to have an opportunity to have a better life. They just have to go through the door, but we will keep the door open and all the conditions necessary for them to have a better life for sure through education. That is our main goal. So I think that's that's a wrap. I don't know if you guys want me to go into more details. Please feel free to ask anything.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to still didn't get any questions, but I really think it's because everything was so clear, and I think your journey is amazing. Um, and I think for all of us who've been able to join in today, and even for those who'll be watching this afterwards, they'll get a chance to learn a thing or two about the space as well, and also from your career journey. So as we get to the end of this, then the last question that I'll just ask you is, what advice would you give a young person, a young woman in tech, or generally any young woman trying to build their career and to progress to the next stages of their lives? Any word of advice?
Laura, I'm sorry. There is sort of constructions on the upper level, and the internet was cutting. Could you say that again or write it in the
Oh,
chat? Answer to your last question, please. I heard everything cutting. I didn't get it.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. We had lost you for a moment there. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just sharing that I think this session was amazing, and I think we have been able to hear about your career journey. And I think for all of us who've been watching right now, and also everyone else who'll be watching this afterwards, that they learn a thing or two from everything that you have shared with us. And I was just saying that as we are winding up, if you can share with us any advice that you would give a young person trying to progress to the next levels of their career, or yeah, any piece of advice that you'd give to any young person or any young woman in tech.
Sorry, guys, I muted because of the construction. So advices. Well, I've shared a few, but I think the first advice I would give is to ask yourself if this is really, really what she wants in terms of being an entrepreneur and why she wants it. For example, in my case, one of the things that made me decide to be an entrepreneur was to own my own time. What I mean to own my own time was I didn't want to be attached to working hours from 8 to 5 and not be allowed to rearrange my day according to my productivities and priorities. What I mean by that is, as I have a passion for outdoor water sports, there are some moments that I want to go, for example, kite surfing or surfing. Let's say that I go surfing in the morning, and then in the middle of the morning, I can come to work and work like 4 hours straight to compensate the time that I was away. I'm a morning person. I'm very productive in the morning, so I like to take my mornings to either be extremely productive for one goal or to do what I love. Sometimes I can come and work the whole morning until lunchtime, 2 o'clock, and then from 2 o'clock I can go and kite surf. Or I can take the afternoon off to be with my kids, especially now in the pandemic, that they are only 3 years old and they are mostly in the house because kindergartens are closed and we don't have much activities to do with the kids. So I need to dedicate and make sure I manage my time to have time for one, family, and then my business. Because when I tried to put business first and family second, I started to have a lot of problems in different areas of my life, even for my personal, um, mental stability, even health. Because I would work extra hours to make this thing happen. I would stop training because I like to do a lot of training, go to the gym or train outdoors. So my health was at stake. I start to have less memorable times, with my family. And I said, no, I need to balance. What is the priority of being an entrepreneur? To be able to own my own time, to afford the time to say, no, I will take the afternoon to be with the kids or to do what I really love. And that allowed me to be extremely productive in each area because when I'm with my kids, I forget the phone, I don't take work to my home, and I try to dedicate and be present and be there in terms of energy and attention with my kids. But when I work, I am full on. I dedicate 100%. So my advice is knowing the why we are an entrepreneur. Make sure that the goals are visible all the time. I'm doing this for this main reason. Don't lose focus because there will come times that the work would swallow us and request a lot from us. That's the most important time that we need to trust our team, hand it over, let them do mistakes. Yes, they will always do mistakes, they're human, but they need to learn from the mistakes and progress. But also ask for help. If you don't know how to get out of that situation, I'm still learning how to manage a company. I didn't know how to do a business plan when I decided to be an entrepreneur. more. I went to sign up for incubation programs for startups to start learning how to do a business plan and a marketing strategy and all that is required. Ask for help. Stop. Don't be a superwoman. I used to try to be a superwoman, but I started to be burned because I was demanding a lot for me. And when you are also a mom, it's really hard to balance the house, the kids, the work, and you still have a million, responsibilities because we women normally have more responsibilities than men. That's unfair, but that's the truth. So, make sure you know the why. Put your goals in front of, the wall. Why am I doing this and for what reason? And make sure to try to balance as much as possible. That's, I think, for women, the best advice I can give. I hope it helps. Back to you, Laura.
Yes. Yes, it does, and yeah, I think that's useful and really amazing. So, I'll take this opportunity to thank you so much for taking the time to share with us today. And as I've shared earlier, I think this was very insightful. So we're very grateful for taking some time from your busy schedule. Hopefully, we can chat with you in future again. About the same topic or a different topic, we can always be in touch about that. So, without much more to say, in case you might want to connect with Lisa, you can look her up on LinkedIn, and then you can also share the link to her profiles on our social media after this, so that if you have any questions or if you might want to chat with her about something in EdTech, then you can go ahead and do that. So, I'll go ahead and wish. Sorry.
People can reach me in my blog, lisavidera.com, or they can go to LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. Okay. You've heard it. You've heard it, guys. So, please reach out to her if you want to chat about anything. So thank you so much, Lisa. Again, I'll go ahead and wish everyone a good day, wherever you might be joining us today. And in case you might want to also have a similar session, feel free to reach out to us on all our social media platforms and on our email address, which is info@africanwomenintech.com. Other than that, goodbye.
Thank you. I'm very grateful. Thank you guys for the opportunity to share. Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.